So as you can see, we are back at the desk with another BOLO video. It's been about 5 months since I created one of these videos. They're actually one of my most successful videos on YouTube and other platforms. But I need to start bringing these back because they're really essential for newer resellers who are just learning brands. These kind of videos are easy to digest, and that's why I like to keep them to 5. If you watch the previous episodes, you know exactly why. I think 5 is the perfect number for especially new sellers to be able to go out there, remember those brands, and at least try to find them. Now, this is a BOLO video. These aren't brands you're going to find every single day out in the wild. I've got comments like that in the past, like, these brands you'll never be able to find. Yes, you will be able to find them. Many of them I've found out in the wild, but they're not something you're going to find every day, and that's what makes them a BOLO. And for this episode, I figured flannels were the best option because it is July. I'm actually recording this on July 4th. It is July, but flannel season is right around the corner. You're going to start wanting to list flannels August, September, get ahead of schedule before that first cold snap so you can start making a lot of flannel sales. So I figured this was the perfect time to kind of get these videos out so you can start remembering these brands. That way, if you can pick them up over the next few weeks or few months, you'll be able to list them and make a lot of money around winter season. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with BOLO Flannel number 1. And it's going to be a brand that most of you probably have never heard of before. And that's why I wanted to put it in the number 1 slot. And it's one that you should always be on the lookout for. And that brand is Ironheart Flannel. Now, as you can see right on eBay, right off the bat, you have one listed for $200 right here, another one for $158, $175. You can see the watchers on these two, 14 watchers. And as you scroll, you're going to see the prices are going to fluctuate anywhere between $100 to $300 on these flannels, even ones on bid right now that are listed for $117. Pre-owned condition, men's flannel shirt, insane price for this. Now, pre-owned condition, $424 currently listed. As you can see, when we scroll over to sold, we're going to scroll down, you're going to see that there is 283 sold. So not 100%. You're not going to get 100% with a brand like this because it's going to require a niche buyer, but that's okay because if you're at the thrift store and you find this for, let's say, $10 hanging on a rack at a thrift store, you're still going to pick it up because look at these sold prices, $171.50, $135. This one sold on bid for $199, $150, best offer at $250, another one for $225. Just insane. And with 200 plus sold, that's a very, very strong sell-through for an item like this. Again, you're not going to get 100%. You're going to see 100% sell-through rates later on in this video. But with a brand like this, you're not going to get it, but you're going to get a high sale price. So the reason I want to pick this brand for number 1 too is the actual brand tag is one that if you were scrolling through at the thrift store, you might miss because it's so plain and simple. Now, here's an example of one that sold for $150. Is another reason why I picked this one for the number 1 slot to go over. And there, I'll show you that in just a second. But that's the tag you're looking for. Big spell out, says Ironheart, motorcycle specialties. Most of these are made in Japan. So that's why they hold a good value because it's like a very, very high-end brand in Japan, made very well. So there's a tag right there, as you can see, made in Japan. Now, I picked this one to show because this one has flaws. And even with flaws, it's still sold for $150. Some loose strands there, some loose strands there. Person buying this probably doesn't care too much because you just take a pair of scissors and those are basically brand new. It's not like it's going to kill the garment, kill the value of the garment just because it has a couple loose strands. But even with some minor damage, still sold for $150 in pre-owned condition. As you can see, this listing isn't anything amazing. This person just kind of threw it on their couch and snapped a couple photos. Still sold for $150. Now, this one, much better listing. I think if the last person took a little bit care into their listing like this person did, they probably would have sold it for a little bit more. This one sold for $225. Really good cover photo for that one. As you can see, they put in all the measurements. And again, very simple tag with this one. The way you can spot it at the thrift store too is that little Ironheart hit. Some of them have it right above the pocket. You'll see that with some other brands we go over later. That hit above the pocket is a very, very good hit to look for when you're out there thrifting, especially for flannels. A lot of the brands use that little thing. But here you go, 100% cotton, just a simple tag on the inside. But $225 for the sale. And then we're going to go over one more really quick. This one sold for $299. Now, this is a sold out colorway. As you can see, they put the word sold out. And it's a 3XL, which if you know men's clothing, you know bigger sizes tend to sell better. But again, nothing too crazy with this listing. Pearl Snap, Ironheart, same exact tag. This one sold for $299. So hopefully you guys just learned a new brand with BOLO number 1. let's get into BOLO brand number 2. BOLO brand number 2 is probably another one you've never heard of before, and that's why I wanted to stick it in the second slot. I've only found this brand once. I believe I found 2 at the same thrift store. It was red, white, and blue, and they had this priced at, I think it was like $6 or $8 a piece because they did know what they had. This brand sold really fast because I found it in the middle of winter. And keep in mind, when I'm talking about sell-through rate during this video, it's July 4th right now. It's the middle of summer. So as we get closer to winter and deep into winter, you'll see these sell-through rate fluctuate. So if it already has a good sell-through rate in the middle of summer, it's going to have even a better one in the winter when people are actually buying these things. So keep that in mind when we go through some of these. But the brand is Corridor NYC. And as you can see listed, we have one right off the bat for $90 with 19 watchers, 67, 68, 60. And as I scroll through this, you'll kind of get an idea that these will sell between $50 to $90. That's what they're listed for. Now, we got to see what's sold. So currently, pre-owned condition listed, there is 104 listed. If we click down to sold and we scroll down, you'll see there's 30 sold. So again, not a crazy sell-through rate, but we are in the middle of summer. Right off the bat, July 2nd, there was one that sold for 75. Here's another one that sold best offer 75, 79, 110 best offer. All these with slashes are best offer. So you don't technically know what they sold for if you look through this solds, but if you go off Terapeak, you'll figure out exactly what they sold for. This one 46, this one for $60. These don't have slashes, you know that's what they sold for. 65 and 74. Now let's go into some of these listings really quick. There's not much to talk about this brand. It looks very simple. The tag you're looking for is this tag right here. And the reason it stuck out to me when I first saw it when I was out there thrifting is because of that little New York hit underneath. It just looks like a prestigious tag, and I've never seen it before, so I looked it up, and sure enough, it was a great brand. This person took really great photos of their listing. This one, again, sold for $60. It was the example we just saw a second ago. No flaws with this item, $60, middle of summer, really, really good sale for that one. Scroll over to the next one, really good title structure on this one. I love this cover photo, by the way. That yellow behind it makes it really, really pop, so really, really good from this seller right here. And again, simple tag. The tag doesn't change. You're always going to look for this tag with this brand. It's not like Ralph Lauren. You're going to see many different tags. Corridor, same exact tag. That white tag will pop to you as you're going through the thrift store, and you'll be able to sell this for $65 in the middle of summer. Going to the next one, it's another simple listing right here. This one sold for $75. Again, a tag just stands out to you. Really good photos from this person showing all angles, and $75. So that wraps up BOLO number 2. Let's get into BOLO number 3. BOLO brand number 3, and whatever you find is going to be a BOLO. So it doesn't just apply to flannels. This is going to apply to everything within this brand, but I figured we cover flannels because such a great brand, and this will show a perfect example of an item that sells for really, really great money, but also will sell extremely fast based off the current sell-through rate. So Poncho Flannels are the ones you're going to be looking out for. Now, they do make short sleeve fishing shirts and things like that, but in this video, we're specifically covering the flannel. So feel free to do your own research on the short sleeve fishing shirts and those type of items, because you'll see the sell-through is just the same for those. Now, Poncho Flannels, right off the bat, $60, $65. And as you scroll, you'll see that generally their listed price is somewhere between $45 to $90, depending on color and size. But there is only 62 currently listed. Not that many listed, but if we scroll over to sold and we click on it and we scroll down, you'll see that there is 196 sold, which means the way I calculate sell-through rate, and I know not everybody does it, is going to be listed versus sold. This would be over 300% sell-through rate for this item, which is absolutely wild. Right off the bat, Poncho, $45. This person probably undersold theirs because they sold it, best offer. They should have listed a little bit higher. $50, $60 on bid. You have another one here for $46 on bid. With an item like this, you really don't want to put it on bid. You just want to price it appropriately based off market prices with best offer and see what kind of offers come in, because most likely you're going to sell it for more than 46 and 42. Generally, clothing items, you don't really want to list them auction unless there's something very niche, like a vintage item or something like that, like a collectible, because you're never really going to get full value, because the only people that are going to bid on that shirt are people that are that size. So this one, only a large fellow would bid on that, and a guy that was 2X would bid on that. It's kind of wild that they have two different sizes there. But generally what I would suggest is put these, best offer, list them high with best offer. 65, 65. We'll just keep scrolling. You can see anywhere between 45 to 65. You'd have some outliers. I think down at the bottom, there was one that sold for 90. So generally, right around that $65 price is where you're going to want to list these items for. Now, going into this is going to be similar to the last listing where the tag is very plain, but it's the brand sells itself. So, and as you can see, this listing is not good at all. This person has their photos rotated to the side. That is the tag photo. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's to the side. You have to kind of tilt your head over to see exactly what it says. But even with these bad photos, no measurements, nothing, just a basic title right here. It doesn't have the color in the title or anything like that. Sold on bid for $60.50. So brand sells that item. Doesn't even have to be the listing that sells that item. Going into another listing, this one is a much better, well put together listing. That is the tag photo, not turned over to the side, that you're on the lookout for. Poncho. Again, big letters on that one, kind of similar to Corridor, that you probably would pass over if you're going through it. And Poncho itself, the brand doesn't scream like high resale value, because a poncho is an actual article of clothing that you wear when it's raining outside. You throw on a rain poncho. But this brand, the brand is what sells. Now, the reason this brand sells and it sells well is because they have like magnetic pockets. And I guess this is sought after in like the fishing community and everything. You have the magnetic pockets, so you don't lose anything in your front pockets. That's why this brand sells. There's a couple of the brands that are kind of copying this right now, the same way, like the magnetic front pockets. But yeah, that's why this brand sells. So make sure you put that in your listing. As you can see, this person put magnetic pockets in their listing. Does help the item sell, but really good listing, all put together here. This one sold for 65, and here's another one that sold for 65. Again, very, very nice photos. Look at those photos. These actually might be, that might be from the actual site itself, but their photos were great too. Really, really nice. Sold for $65. So if you didn't know this label, burn it into your memory. Again, this is one that doesn't have different labels. It's only that specific label. It's one that I've actually bought this brand wholesale, spent good money for it. I think I spent $35 a piece for brand new with tag Poncho Flannels, and I sell them like hotcakes. So it's a brand that you should be willing to pay up for because it's going to sell fast and for good money. And that concludes BOLO brand number 3. Let's get on to BOLO brand number 4. Brand number 4 is a brand that most of you probably have already heard of before because it's pretty well known in the flannel community, but I figured I'd go over it anyway because there are some people out there that have never heard of this, and that is Dixon Flannels. Now, as I scroll through these search results, you will see that there's other things than just flannels listed, and that's because the brand itself is called Dixon Flannels. So it'll bring up all the different items because they do make like short sleeve Hawaiian shirts and short sleeve shirts. So just keep that in mind. The search results aren't just for flannels. It's pretty much for everything under this brand. But as we scroll through these items, you can see right here, one off the bat, $60, another one for $45, $60, and you'll see most of these are right around that $35 to $60 range, but there are some outliers that are listed really high, and that's because this brand does collabs with bands, with shows, things like that, and they do limited runs. And as soon as that run runs out and there's no more available, people will resell these for over the retail price because collectors want to get every single flannel, or they want to get specific flannels for specific bands and shows and things like that. So you'll see some of these are outliers and they sell for really, really good money. Now, pre-owned condition currently on eBay, there is 6,600 listed. And if we scroll over to sold, there are currently 4,502 sold, which is a really, really good sell-through rate. And then as you can see right here, we have ones for 37, other ones for 79 that sold, 42 on bid, and you'll scroll and you'll see all kinds of different prices. When you're looking up these flannels specifically, you're going to look at the back tag and you're going to type in Dixon Flannel plus whatever that back tag says, because that will give you what accurately your item is worth. Because again, there are limited runs with this brand. So if you have one of those rare flannels, you're going to want to price it up because collectors are looking for those rare flannels. Now, going into this first one right here, this is a Dixon Jack Daniels flannel. So as you can see from that back tag, they make it look like the Jack Daniels bottle. There are different runs of different tags as well. So Jack Daniels could have 3 or 4 different installments, but the first one is worth more than the fourth one. So again, this brand requires a lot of research when you're listing. Don't just throw it up at the first price you see, because you might have one of those rare editions, ones that were released 5 years ago and they did a rerun of Jack Daniels, and that one has a little bit of a different pattern, so it commands a little bit of a lower price. compared to the first one that was released. This person did a really great job of photos. They put it on mannequin. I mean, you can't go wrong with mannequin photos. They're able to see all the different angles, and then you just have a tag photo. This one sold for $92 in pre-owned condition. This is a different one right here. This is the Metallica flannel. As you scroll through here, you'll see really great photos as well. It has a little Metallica hit right there above the pocket. And then again, on the back tag, super easy to look these up. You just got to look up Dixon Flannel and then the word Metallica. And then you got to look for this pattern of this specific shirt to get your resale value. This one sold for $119. I'm just going to take a random guess and say that there is many of these editions out there, all different colors. Let's search it right here. So as you can see, like I said, there's all different colorways. Some are less, some are more. We'll scroll down here to pre-owned, and this is just raw footage. I didn't do any research on this, and I figured that there would be many of these out there. These two, obviously different colorway than this one. This one doesn't command a high as value as that one does. Same thing with this one. This one is technically brand new. I don't know why they did this pre-owned because they do have a tag right there. This one only sold for $40. So the red edition is worth more than the blue edition. And this blue edition is worth more than this blue edition. So definitely have to do your research when looking into this brand, because you might have one of those rare flannels. And then as you can see right here, this listing, horrible. They just took the item, they threw it down on the ground, and they snapped one photo. They didn't even snap a couple. They snapped one photo, all wrinkly, still sold for $45. And they just titled it Dixon Flannel 3XL. They didn't even put in that this is the mistletoe. So a collector just scrolling through eBay saw this, was like, hey, I need that one. They maybe underpriced this one, sold it for $45. So this is another one. The brand sells itself. You really don't have to put too much work into it, and you can get a sale. And that's Dixon Flannels. Let's do our last BOLO number 5, and it's a good one. So this last brand, I wanted to stick it in the last slot because not only are you guys on the lookout for it, but I am also on the lookout for it too. And that brand is Rogue Territory. I have never found it, but I'm definitely looking for it. Rogue Territory itself as a brand is a really, really good brand. And we'll go into all the items that are listed on this brand, but we're specifically talking about flannels in this video. And you'll see the sell-through rate on flannels aren't the best. But again, you have to focus on the fact that we are in the middle of summer and not in winter. So the sell-through will go up. And I'll kind of show you why I know that in just a second. But as you can see listed, you have one here for $100, one for $115. As we scroll, you'll see most of these are listed somewhere around $75 to upwards of $200, depending on what you have. Now, currently listed on eBay, there's 94 currently listed. And if we scroll over to sold, there are only 23 sold. So that's like around a 25% sell-through rate. Not the best. Starting off from the top, you'll see one sold for $35. These only sold for $60 best offer, which is still a good price. But as we get closer to when it was cold out, April, May, it was still kind of chilly in the northern states. You'll see the prices of these start to increase. $99, $75, $100, $125, $60, $145. So as we get closer to winter, I expect the price of these to go back up. Also sell through of these to go back up, because these would sell in the winter. It's a flannel shirt. But altogether, the brand is very, very strong. And I'll show you that just right now. If you go to Rogue Territory and just search up the brand, currently in pre-owned condition, across the board, jackets, jeans, flannels, short sleeves, there's 403 sold on eBay. And as we scroll right here, you can see the prices of these are very, very, very strong. You'll see anywhere between $60 to upwards of $200, sometimes $300, depending if it's a jacket. Even the shorts right now in summer are going for $60. Now, if you take this off and you just go to what's listed, there are currently 508 sold or 508 listed of this item, which again, listed versus sold shows you the brand is a very, very good brand because it has a really good sell through based off that data. Now, going into just the flannels, because that's what this video is about, RGT is what you're looking for on the tag. You're not looking for the word Rogue Territory typically on the tags. You'll see them on some of these tags, but most will just say RGT on the back tag, just like that. And then it'll say Rogue Territory underneath. So it's kind of hard to spot when you're out thrifting because that RGT doesn't look like anything special. And you'll see it on another tag that it doesn't even say Rogue Territory underneath. So unless you knew it was Rogue Territory, you wouldn't know to look out for it. This one right here sold for $100. Really, really solid listing. I mean, I can't complain about this listing. So good. Such a good listing. Now going into this next one right here, this is one that has flaws, kind of like similar to the first brand we went over. has flaws, and it's still sold for $75. This is one that I was saying the tag doesn't say Rogue Territory. It just says RGT. So you have to know Rogue Territory to know this brand is one to be on the lookout for. Again, really solid listing on this one. Just a Rogue Territory flannel. Nice listing, nice title, sold for $75, even with flaws. And then you have this one right here, RGT at the top of the tag. Again, it doesn't say Rogue Territory underneath. RGT is the only thing you see. And this one sold for $75. Another solid listing. Nothing special about this listing, but the brand is what sold it. So RGT, Rogue Territory, be on the lookout for it because it is a really great brand. And that's the end of this episode. That's 5 flannel brands that you should be on the lookout for next time you're out thrifting. I appreciate you guys making it all the way to the end of the video. If you did, drop me a comment of the next category that you want me to go over, whether it's short sleeve shirts, polos, shoes. Let me know down in the comments section below. Also, depending on where you're watching this, either on Facebook or over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe or follow the channel. I think that's what you do on Facebook. And then also make sure you like this video. It shows me that you guys are enjoying them. And like I said, I'm going to try to revive this series. I was doing so good and then I kind of fell off. So I'm going to bring these back to you guys and try to bring these out maybe on a weekly basis. I'm going to do my best. I am a busy guy, so don't hate me if I only get one out a month. But I'm going to do my best to bring these out as frequently as I can. Thank you guys again for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.